Hello everyone, I am the Canadian Gaming Penguin. Today's guide episode is all about leveling, or more specifically leveling your Disciple of War and Disciple of Magic classes and jobs. I will discuss the different ways to level your Disciple of Hand and Disciple of Land classes in a future video. However, much of what I say in this video can also apply to Disciple of Hand and Disciple of Land classes. There are a lot of different ways to gain experience in Final Fantasy XIV. There are more obvious ways, such as doing the main scenario quests, classes or job quests, the side quests, dungeons, and trials. There are less obvious ways, such as the hunting log, food items, fates, the challenge log, leave quests, beast tribe quests, and the deep dungeons. And there are even experience buffs through free companies, or even when creating a character on a new or preferred world. There are also experience bonuses with various pieces of gear. With all these different methods to gain experience, some are better for the different roles, that is tanks, healers, and DPS, while others are not. For example, it is much faster for tanks and healers to level through dungeons, trials, etc. than it is for DPS, simply because of the queue time. I will get into more detail about this later on in the video. Now let's dive deeper into each of these different ways to gain experience. The most obvious ways to gain experience, as I mentioned a moment ago, is of course just playing through the main scenario quests and the side quests. As of the 5.3 patch, the A Realm Reborn main scenario quests have been revamped, and as part of the revamp, the experience gained from these quests is a lot higher. As a result, leveling classes and jobs early on is very easy. This also makes it much easier to level alternate classes or jobs, as this gives players the options to leave side quests for their alternate classes and jobs, or while leveling them up with the main scenario quest itself. The experience rewarded from the Heavensward, Stormblood, and Shadowbringers main scenario quests are already balanced well, so I don't expect any changes with those quests in terms of experience rewarded. Apart from the main scenario quests, there are also the class or job quests and other side quests that can be completed for additional experience. While these reward less experience than the main scenario quests, the experience they reward adds up to a good amount overall. Plus, with the class or job quests, you will occasionally unlock a new skill for that class or job. Included in the side quests, there are the leave quests and the beast tribe quests. Like with other side quests, these quests do not reward a lot of experience overall, but they do add up. Additionally, leave quests are repeatable quests, thus they can be done several times throughout the day, while there are allowances. What are allowances? Allowances are what allows us to accept leave quests. If we open up our journal, we can see that at the bottom here, how many allowances we currently have. 3 allowances are rewarded to players every 12 hours up to a maximum of 100. Meaning, if you want to use leave quests as a method to level up your classes or jobs, be they Disciple of War or Magic, or Disciples of Hand or Land, make sure to check to see how many allowances you have so that you can fully utilize these quests. Note, if you fail a leave quest, you are able to retry the quest immediately and on the spot, but it will use another allowance. As another note, as you get further into the game, specifically the Heavensward areas, you will gain access to large-scale leaves. These large-scale leaves use 10 allowances. Now moving on to Beast Tribe quests. I haven't mentioned these before in my earlier guide videos, and I will only be going through these briefly. I will give more details about Beast Tribe quests in a future video. As a summary, Beast Tribe quests are much like leave quests in that there are allowances. Unlike leave quests, however, there are daily allowances for Beast Tribe quests, and each new day, based on server time, the Beast Tribe quest allowances are replenished fully. In A Realm Reborn, there are 5 Beast Tribes. The initial Beast Tribe quests will become available once you have completed the main scenario quest in Pursuit of the Past. The main scenario quest is a level 41 quest. 4 of the 5 Beast Tribes in A Realm Reborn are for Disciples of War and Magic. To complete the initial quests, you will need a Disciple of War or Magic class or job at or above level 41. The highest level required to start one of the initial Beast Tribe quests is level 44. The 5th Beast Tribe in A Realm Reborn is for Disciples of Hand, but also occasionally contains elements that require a Disciple of War and Magic or Disciple of Land class or job. Apart from the main scenario quest requirement to start the quest for this beast tribe, any class or job at level 1 is required. Every main quest after this will require a level 1 Disciple of Hand class. I will also note that the Realm Reborn Beast Tribe quests that are available as you progress through that storyline, there are multiple Beast Tribe quests, whereas in the Heavensward, Stormblood, and Shadowbringers, you're limited to 3 quests per day, or an additional 3 when you get a higher rank in that, and I will explain that in a future video. The Heavensward, Stormblood, and Shadowbringers expansions each have 3 different beast tribes. In Heavensward, 2 of the 3 are battle-related, while the remaining 1 is for Disciple of Hand. In Stormblood, 2 of the 3 are battle-related, while the remaining 1 is for Disciple of Hand and Disciple of Land. In Shadowbringers, 1 of the 3 is battle-related, another is for Disciple of Land, and the remaining 1 is for Disciple of Hand. For the Realm Reborn Beast Tribe quests, much like other side quests, these quests do not reward that much experience, but they do add up over time. With the Heavensward and Stormblood and Shadowbringers Beast Tribe quests, these quests are synced to your level based on a certain range. This system is called Quest Sync. Now, I was not able to verify the following, but I believe that the ranges for each of these expansions are as follows. For Heavensward, the range is level 50 to level 59. For Stormblood, the range is level 60 to level 69. For Shadowbringers, the range is level 70 to level 79. The reason why I think these ranges are as such is because the max levels for each of the expansions is level 60, 70, and 80 respectively. It doesn't make sense to reward experience at level 60, 70, or 80 respectively when there is no experience rewarded at those levels. Thus, if I were to accept a Heavensward Beast Tribe quest when my job is at level 62, then the quest sync would scale to level 59. If anyone happens to know if this is true or not, please let me know. I spent a few hours trying to find the answer to this and failed to find an answer. Anyways, as a result of the quest sync system, the experience rewarded will scale to the level within the range of that class or job that you accept the quest with. Note, you cannot complete this quest with any class or job other than the one you accepted the quest with. And that is how Beast Tribe quests work. I guess that was a bit more than just briefly. Anyways, moving on. As I mentioned in the last video, roulettes are a great way to gain experience. The only roulettes currently that do not reward experience are the level 80 and the expert roulettes, because the level cap is level 80. The main scenario roulette is the roulette that rewards the most experience and rewards in general because of the length of the dungeons. I will explain more in a future video when I talk about these dungeons specifically. Apart from roulettes, queuing for guildhests, dungeons, trials, raids, and alliance raids will also reward a fair amount of experience as you go through the duty themselves. If you've already done all the roulettes that you can for a class or job, then the next best method to gaining experience is to run the highest level duty that you are able to, well, run. If I'm leveling a DPS class or job, I will select up to 5 dungeons, which is the maximum number of dungeons that one can queue for at once, and usually these are the highest 5, to try to get a faster queue. There is the odd possibility that there are other players queuing for these dungeons directly, and thus will speed up the queue. Or at least it seems that way. There is also the rare chance that players need to replenish the ranks, and since I have this setting on, found in the duty finder, cog up on the left side here, and this option right here, this is the chance that I will be that player to replenish the ranks. Mentioning dungeons, there is also the possibility of leveling your classes and jobs by running the deep dungeons. Deep dungeons in Final Fantasy XIV, as Square Enix describes, are, quote, ever-changing dungeons whose architecture is never quite the same each time players enter to explore its depths, end quote. There are currently 2 deep dungeons, Palace of the Dead and Heaven on High. The first of the deep dungeons, Palace of the Dead, is available after completing the main scenario quest into a Copper Hell. This is a level 17 main scenario quest. Once you've completed the quest, the house that Death built, that unlocks Palace of the Dead, you will need to speak with this guy, the Wood Whaler Expeditionary Captain, in order to enter the Palace of the Dead. The second of the deep dungeons, Heaven on High, is available after completing the main scenario quest, Tide Goes In, Imperials Go Out, and have completed floor 50 in the Palace of the Dead. The Heaven on High deep dungeon is available once you've reached the Stormblood content, so you have a ways to go. Unfortunately, I have yet to even try Palace of the Dead, so I clearly can't do Heaven on High, thus that is the extent of my knowledge. I have heard that gaining experience is really good to level up classes and jobs in deep dungeons. However, the deep dungeons do require a lot of time. They also have a different style of mechanic to typical dungeons, etc., so there is a bit of a learning curve. I have also heard that these are not good ways to learn your class or job rotations, etc., as leveling within is quick and you have a new skill available to you quite quickly. I believe once you exit a deep dungeon, part of that experience that you gain within said deep dungeon is applied to your character outside of the dungeon. Again, I've never tried them or done them, so that's the extent of my knowledge. I do plan on trying these eventually, but I have no idea when this will happen. If I do end up trying them out, you can expect a video that goes into more details. Alternatively, you can also check out the Deep Dungeon Guide on the Lodestone that Square Enix has provided. I will have a link in the description below to this guide. The hunting log is something that is unlocked very early on, and it is often missed or forgotten about. I know that when I first started playing, it was something I'd completely missed, especially since it's unlocked after completing your first class quest. So what is the hunting log? Well, the hunting log is, as the help guide states, quote, a record of your completion of tasks involving the slaying of certain creatures. By completing these tasks, you will earn rewards and unlock new challenges. End quote. The hunting log has different tabs for each of the starting classes and rogue, and will also contain a tab for your Grand Company once you have unlocked the Grand Company hunting log. Each class tab has different difficulty ranks. The first difficulty rank will contain a list of enemies and amounts of enemies that need to be defeated. It will also list the rewards for defeating the enemies and the rewards for completing the overall difficulty rank. Higher ranks are unlocked after completing the previous difficulty rank and also reaching the necessary level for the next rank. For example, the second difficulty rank is unlocked after having completed the first difficulty rank and reaching level 15 with that specific class. You can check out the hunting log at any time by hitting the H key by default or going to the main menu, Logs, Hunting Log to open it up. You can also drag this to your hotbar for quicker access. As a way of quickly identifying whether or not you need a monster for a class is by looking to see if they have this symbol above their heads. If they do, then you'll need at least one. If you're not sure if you need more than one, you can check the chat log to see if you need to kill more than one after you've defeated that first one, or if that challenge log is completed, or simply looking through the hunting log, or you could just keep killing that creature until that symbol above their head disappears. Another way to see if you need to defeat enemies for the hunting log for a specific class is by looking at the Recommendations tab. The Recommendations tab is also something that is also unlocked early on. In fact, this feature is unlocked at the same time as when guild leaves and leave quests become available. The Recommendations tab will also display quests or duties that are currently available in the area you are in. I personally use the Recommendation tab to quickly cycle through my classes to see if there are multiple classes that have enemies to be defeated for the hunting log, rather than scrolling through the hunting log. One thing to note with the hunting log is that it is only for starting classes and rogue, and only has enemies to be defeated from levels 1 through 50. The hunt, which is another feature, works similar to the hunting log in that there are marks, or enemies, to be defeated for rewards. Unlike the hunting log, however, the hunt is not class or job specific, it rewards different things, and has daily and weekly hunt marks. I'll go into more details about the hunt in a future video. Moving on to another type of log that can grant experience, the challenge log. The challenge log is available after you have reached level 15 and have completed the Call to the Sea location main scenario quest. You can start the quest Rising to the Challenge, which unlocks the challenge log by speaking with her, Itawan in Limsa Loensa Upper Decks. The challenge log has many different categories. Some of these categories will remain locked until you gain access to that feature. For example, the Grand Company category or the PvP category. These challenges are reset weekly, so you can do these challenges over and over again. There are different rewards depending on the category. For example, with the Battles tab, we have Experience and Gil, whereas the Gold Saucer rewards are MGP. Hint hint. Note, the experience rewarded is rewarded to the active class or job when the challenge is completed. The amount of experience rewarded is based on a percentage of the overall experience required for the level of that class or job. For example, if we look at the Feeling Lucky challenge, we will see the experience amount listed will change when we change classes. There is also a complete category that is based on how many other challenges we've completed during that week. This rewards Gil, so if you're wanting some quick, easy Gil, definitely check out the challenge log. One thing I will say, I do not recommend trying to complete the challenge log every week. I mean completely complete. It will likely burn you out. I do recommend taking it slower and in moderation because you will have a full week to do these challenges. Alrighty, and moving on to the Adventurer Squadrons, or as I prefer to call it, Grand Company Squadron. Adventurer Squadrons become available after you have obtained the 2nd Lieutenant rank with your Grand Company. This will unlock a barracks to the left of your Grand Company area where you can form a squadron of Adventurer NPCs. After you have completed some introductory quests for the squadron, you will gain access to command missions. These command missions allow you to form a party with 3 of your squadron members and enter a dungeon. Access to these dungeons will depend on whether or not you have unlocked them and your own character level. Note, squadron members also have levels, so it's probably not a good idea to enter a level 60 dungeon when they are still level 21. You will probably find that dungeon overly tricky. There is a bit of a learning curve to the command missions, where you will need to command your squadron by giving them orders to engage in battle, to disengage, etc. Once you get the hang of it, it is much easier to do, and the NPCs learn how to fulfill their roles better as they get dungeon experience. I will get into more details about this in a future video. The trust system, which was introduced with the Shadowbringers expansion, is similar to the Adventurer Squadrons. However, the AI or artificial intelligence is significantly more superior than the AI used in the squadrons. The NPCs are able to run the dungeons without you needing to command them, meaning they will know the mechanics of the dungeon and will avoid AoEs, etc. This is actually a pretty good way to learn some of the different mechanics in these dungeons too. Or at least that's what I did. Much like with squadrons, you will need to level the NPCs to do higher level dungeons. They are leveled by having them join you in the trust system itself. Thus, once you have reached level 71, while you are working on leveling up the NPCs for the trust system, you can also work on leveling up your own job. Note, it will likely take longer to run the dungeons using the trust system than if you were to run the dungeon with other players. Another note, the trust system is currently only available for Shadowbringer dungeons. Fates. No, I didn't forget about you. You were fated to be remembered. Right, so there are a lot of different fates throughout a number of different areas. Joining a party can help with gaining experience from fates for 2 reasons. The first reason, you will be able to go through a fate faster. Thus, this will allow you and your party members to gain more experience faster. The second reason, you will also share the experience that your other party members obtain when they kill monsters. I recommend doing fates that are near the level of your current class or job that you want to level, but not necessarily at the same level. Partly because it would take you longer to finish a fate, unless you're in a party, when it is at the same level. As an example, if I were leveling a class or job at level 30, I would go and do fates that are between the levels 25 and 30, but less likely at the 30 range. Another reason why I like doing fates is to get more comfortable with my class or job and their rotations. The fates also reward Grand Company seals, so if you're in the process of wanting to gain a higher rank, doing fates will help with Grand Company seal collection. Additionally, we currently have the Yokai Watch event going on until patch 5.4, which will be sometime in December 2020, so you may find an easier time to find other players doing fates right now. Plus, if you're not done with the Yokai Watch event, then you will be able to work on that at the same time. Another interesting thing about fates, once you reach Stormblood areas, occasionally fates will have an experience bonus that will be rewarded upon completion of the fate. You'll be able to see if there are fates currently up in an area by looking at the map and seeing the experience symbol over their fate area, or by looking at the recommendations list. Additionally, there may be special enemies that appear. If this enemy is defeated, after the fate is completed through completion or failure, players will be rewarded with a Twist of Fate buff, which increases the experience earned in the next fate that you do, after which you will lose the buff. Note, if you leave the area, you will also lose the buff. Thus, if you are lucky and manage to get one of these special enemies in a fate, and see another fate with an experience bonus, then go and do that fate for even more experience. And now that we've established a number of different features that are good ways to gain experience, let's talk about experience buffs. Experience buffs, what are they and how do you get them? One such way, and the easiest way I might add, is by eating different food. No matter which food it is, it will always give a bonus of 3% to experience for 30 minutes. If you eat 2 of the same food, that bonus, and any other bonuses it gives, will last for at least 60 minutes. It can last longer if your free company has a food duration increase, as an example. Mentioning free companies have access to grant a number of different buffs to their members. Some such buffs are the Heat of Battle, the Heat of Battle 2, and the Heat of Battle 3. The Heat of Battle buffs increase experience earned through battle by 5%, 10%, and 15% respectively. These buffs last 24 hours. Thus, if you happen to be in a free company, make sure to ask if these buffs can be used. I will, however, point out that all the different buffs do require a bit of work to be able to be used, so ask your free company how you can help with maintaining these buffs. Another buff that can be obtained, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, is when creating a new character on a new or preferred world. Currently, this buff is called the Road to 70. I happened to create this character when the Marlboro server was a preferred server, thus this character has the buff. Note, this buff is not permanent. This buff is used as an incentive to play on the new or preferred servers in order to try to balance the player population. Even if it is not permanent, it is still worth mentioning. There are also 2 other bonuses that are worth mentioning, the Sanctuary bonus and the Armory bonus. The Sanctuary bonus, or Rested Experience bonus, is obtained when resting or logging out in Sanctuary areas. That is, areas where there is an Aetheryte shard. For example, all of the cities are Sanctuary areas. Any settlement with an Aetheryte is also a Sanctuary area. Look for the crescent moon by your experience bar to know for certain whether you are in a Sanctuary area or not. To use the Rested Experience, one need only gain experience through combat, gathering, or crafting. You will see an X number of experience gained plus 50% in the chat. Part of the X number of experience will include the Rest Experience. You can store up to 1.5 levels of Rest Experience indicated by the blue bar on your experience bar. It does not matter which class or job you are equipped with when you use the Rested Experience. If you wanted to, you could use it on multiple classes and jobs. If you are at max level for a class or job, then the Rested Experience will not be consumed. It is recommended to use the Rested Experience on lower level classes or jobs that you want to level, and by doing content that is near the current level of that class or job. The Armory bonus is a bonus to combat classes that are lower in level than your highest level combat class. For example, if I had a level 50 combat class and a level 10 combat class, as I play that level 10 combat class, I will get a bonus to my experience gained because I have a higher level combat class. This boost helps with leveling alternate classes and jobs. Note, while under level 70, this bonus is a 100% experience bonus, while at level 70 and above, this decreases to a 50% buff. One final way to help boost your experience gained is by equipping gear that boosts experience. There have been a number of different pieces of gear throughout the years that have been available. Some are free, some are part of pre-orders, and some are bought in the MOG station. I will be focusing on the free ones, such as the Friendship Circlet, which is obtained by recruiting a friend or by being recruited by a friend and that friend, or you, subscribing for at least 30 days to the game. This will be rewarded to both of you via the Moogle mail system in the game. Another such piece of gear is the brand new ring, which is obtained by completing the Hall of Novice lessons for any role. Another piece of gear, although much harder to obtain, is through an achievement by participating in the new feature, the Bozjan Southern Front. I won't go into details of how this is obtained, but if you have access to this and want to know, you can scroll through the achievements. I will note that the item rewarded is similar to the earrings that were rewarded when pre-ordering Shadowbringers. Mentioning the Bozjan Southern Front, this is also a great way to gain experience for level 70 to level 80. Once you have reached level 80, you'll obtain elegant tomestones instead of experience. Within the Bozjan Southern Front, there are skirmishes that are similar to Fates. There are also critical engagements which are similar to boss fights but are way more intense. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, some of these different methods of leveling are better for some roles and worse for others. For all of the roles, using any of the available buffs or experience bonus gear will always be beneficial. For tanks and healers, the best way is to queue for dungeons and trials, etc., as there are much faster queues for them than DPS. Plus, you will often get the Adventure and Need bonus. For DPS, basically do everything else. I'm slightly joking, but only slightly. While you're waiting in a queue for a duty, of course doing any of these other things while you wait will help with your leveling. Now, this applies to tanks and healers as well, but you are less likely to have a longer queue than DPS have. And that is leveling in a nutshell. Or, well, in a very long-winded way. I hope that you found this video helpful, and if you did, please hit that like button. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. The next guide video will be about the Manderville Gold Saucer, such as the different things that you can do there, some tips for earning MGP, and why you'd want to earn MGP. Originally I was going to have this video at a later date in the guide series, but since we have the Make It Rain event currently going on, it seemed like a good time to do that video. Anyways, that's where I'm going to leave this video. Thanks for watching!